Hey guys, it's Roderick. I'm here with another episode review of the Mayfair Witches, Season 1, Episode 5, The Thrall. If you're new to this channel, welcome. This is where we discuss films, television, movies, and with a little bit of reality television, but all with an eye towards filmmaking, acting, and directing. So, let's get into it. First of all, I hope you all checked out my video or my little come to Jesus about Let's Talk About Mayfair Witches. If you have not seen that, let's go back, watch that video, then come back and watch this, because I'm not really going to go into a lot of that stuff that I talked about in that video. I probably will do another episodes 5 through whatever this season is going to end at, 8 or 10, and kind of wrap that up and kind of like buttress those two together. But I really don't want to go back into all of that because it's just ain't gonna wear like heavy on my soul type of thing, right? So episode 5 is exactly what I discussed and what I discussed in my previous video, right? All the problems, all the flaws, all the reasons why this episode was as bad as it was is because of what I discussed in this previous video. But I want to take this time to discuss really 2 reasons why I'm annoyed, right? One, anybody who knows me know I hate people who can't tell a good story, right? You can't even talk to me and tell me a story and you can't tell me a good story, right? Like, story has context. There's a way in which you tell a story, and television and film is about storytelling, right? At its essence, it's about telling a story. As an actor, you're working under imaginary circumstances under the story. As a writer, you are crafting a story and making it visual so that the people can get drawn into the story. As a director, you're using the camera to visually tell a story, right? Mayfair Witches does not necessarily have a bad direction problem. The cinematography is beautiful. I mean, New Orleans is just such a great city that they really are playing with house money at that point, right? The cinematography is great. The director can only do as much as the script provides, right? Mayfair Witches at its core has a problem in its storytelling, right? In the choices of which it chose to tell this story and exactly how this story is being told, right? So we're on episode 5, and we have not really moved the needle anymore in the plot and the progression of Rowan's story. We do not care anymore about Rowan than we did at the beginning of the season. We know a little bit, we don't know enough, and the whole episode seems as if it was a waste of 42 minutes and 5 seconds, right? And I'm not even gonna watch the last 9 minutes of the behind the scenes anymore, because it just makes me angry, because when I hear the showrunner, Esther Spalding, talk about what was supposed to happen in every episode, I'm like, how is this translating, right? Are you really believing that these things that you're saying is matching up with what we see, right? So again, this is a storytelling problem. So I want to kind of use that to kind of go through this episode and kind of review on how the story has flaws and kind of how, when you're telling a story, the best way to tell a story. Now, we start off with, once again, another flashback. Now, this flashback we have in the Scottish Mayfairs, and she's helping a woman deliver a baby. The baby comes out with like webbed hands. She's like, oh, that's not a problem. We can cut and get them healed. But the husband's feeling some sort of way, feels like these women have like poisoned the pregnant wife to make the baby come out. This Mayfair witch then goes into town, and then there's a new witch hunter that's there. They've captured this redheaded woman. I can't remember whether or not she was at the funeral or not, or when they were dancing in the woods. And so now the witch hunters are there. So we get this flashback, and I was like, okay, cool. Maybe this is going to translate to like this witch hunting storyline that they're trying to hoist on us, right, in the present time. No, it's just another random flashback, right? So we're like, okay, that was a waste of 4 minutes, but whatever. So the thing is that because the source material travels back in time, the choice has been made to create these flashbacks, but the flashbacks do not have anything to do with what's going on in the story, right? So why give us a flashback in the teaser in the first act of the show if it's not going to connect any way to what's going on in the story? Now, if the source material does not give you a way to connect it, then you as the writer have to make that work, right? You have to make that source material mesh together, or just cut us, or just stop doing the flashbacks, right? But that ship is sailed and already taped the episodes. So we show up and we get another faux bed scene between Sip and Rowan. Now, when I saw them in bed, I was like, this ain't real. Right? I was like, okay, but I feel like somehow they're trying to make it sexy, but not make it sexy. So that's why we've gotten like these like randomly dispersed bed scenes. And Sip goes down, then they make breakfast, comes back up, some more poached eggs, because that's what she likes is poached eggs. And then they're like lovey-dovey in the bed. Then he wakes up again and goes downstairs. I was like, oh, they're in some Groundhog Day loop or whatever like that. So answer me this question, right? Tell me at what point of this story in these first 4 episodes did we establish that Sip and Rowan had some kind of romantic interest in each other? What has transpired to make us believe that these two characters have some chemistry or some romantic relationship? You go, but Roderick, they did the holding hands and there was a glow. What happened to make me believe or think that after the course of that experience, they were going to come out of that with some kind of newfound affection that was not evident prior to that experience? Do we hear, nope, okay, I'm going to help you, get a hold of what's going on, but afterwards it may have some lingering effects? We didn't even see the experience, right? We don't know what happened in that experience besides the fact that Sip knows that she likes poached eggs. Okay? So, she comes back up, and now we're in a loop, okay? So he's going back and forth, and we see like the cut in his body, and we're like, okay, they're in a loop. Who created this loop? Why is this happening? Whatever. So eventually, he starts to feel the effects of walking up and down all those steps with a big gash mark. And then finally, she looks and goes, oh my God, you've been cut. She doesn't know how he's been cut. She goes, looks for the clothes. She can't find the clothes. She can't find like the cell phone. The cell phone's not working, but she finds the knife. And she's like, oh, I think I cut you, whatever. We're going to go take you to the hospital. They go downstairs. He's trying to... he's like, oh, we're trying to get a doctor. And she finds out that she's trapped in the house. So she's trapped in the house. She's like, well, I can just fix you because you're going through sepsis. And she goes upstairs to get all these things to kind of help him heal the wound. And in the middle of trying to find something to help, like, Sip, not die, she decides that she's going to look in the bathtub because there's a random figure in the bathtub. I don't know. At this point, I probably wouldn't have cared what was in the bathtub because if I realized I'm in a never-ending loop, crazy things were happening. Like, this is the things about the show that gets frustrating, right? Like, Rowan is not only they don't have anything to make us care about this character, she's actually frustrating, right? Because the times in which, it literally is not even that she has any heightened sense of intelligence or emotional intelligence. She's just aimlessly moving through all these things happening to her with no sense of agency, no sense of purpose, no power at all. Now, I recognize that in telling the story, you want to have her be new to this world, right? But the fact is that we're 5 episodes in and she's no better at dealing with the chaotic things happening in her life than she was in episode 1, right? And yet she's some kind of witch. But whatever, right? She's a powerful witch, right? She's probably the most powerful witch in the Anne Rice, Immortal Universe, but we're not seeing that. We're not even seeing a hint of that by episode 5. But she goes back downstairs, starts to work with a wound. Sippa's like, wait a minute, he's trying to kill me here. So I need you to look at this and see if the wound is really what it is, right? Then she looks at it, then she realizes, oh my God, it's not it. And he's like, oh, he's trying to kill me, whatever. And then here comes, by the time he gets downstairs, right, and he's like trying to cast spells and trying to get out the house, he runs into this other guy. It's Stuart Townsend. He works for the Talamasca. He was looking for Antha. And then so Stuart Townsend turns to Sip and was like, you're in love with her, aren't you? And he's like, that doesn't work out well. So the whole time, she runs upstairs and trying to, find out what's going on. She sees the aunt in the bathtub. The aunt's like, what happened to Carlotta? This is just what happened the last time, whatever. And I'm just like, again, Are you trying to tell us that Sip is really in love with Rowan? Like, in love with Rowan. We have not seen anything to give us the indication that he's in love with her. He may like her, he may want to have sex with her, but I haven't seen this. Like, you have not shown me this. You have not told me a story that shows that Rowan is in love with Sip. But whatever. So finally, Rowan decides to summon Lasher, call for him. He shows up. He's like, save his life, and I'll play this game with you. So Rowan, like, Sip disappears, and then we have Lasher and Rowan in the house. She goes upstairs, puts on this like flapper dress, like from the 1920s, like a flapper dress, and she comes downstairs. He's dressed in a tuxedo, and for a show that seems to have seemingly superficially invested about the agency and power of women, we get probably one of the most cringy, gaslighty, quasi-sexually assaulty scenes in the whole series. When she's dates with him, he's like, what do you want? Who are you? I'm whatever I am. I'm whatever you are. Who are you? No, like don't play in our face like that, right? So like, even if that's what the source material says, you at episode 5 need to give us more, right? So then he's like, what do you want? I want to get out of here. No, you really want to dance. Rowan decides to dance. Why does Rowan decide to go ahead and dance with him, right? Is she entranced by him? Is the locket making her do it? We don't know. We just looked at her like, you dumb bitch. Why can't you stay focused on the task at hand? Oh, I'm done dancing. I think you want cake. I'm not 6. I don't want cake. Yes, you do. What is this? Like, why are you playing in our face like this, right? So then she goes from eating cake. Mind you, Sip's back at the house. The sister's like, oh my God, what's going to happen? She's fully pregnant in her robe. I was like, Lord, don't let her go into labor over this. So then they hear a knock at the door, and it's help coming. The Talamasca's showing up, right? So it's the bald guy, then like another, like, I guess, subcontinent woman. I don't know if she's Indian or Pakistani. I'm not going to make that distinction. I'm just going to say subcontinent at this point. And she's like, what happened? Oh, he's at the Mayfair house. And the subcontinent lady is over it too. Like, how many people we going to lose to this family? I was like, exactly. How many brain cells I'm going to lose to this family? Is me and the subcontinent lady are on the same page, because we're thinking the same thing, right? So she goes, does her little circle. Sip has told the sister to go ahead and hide, because look, girl, I don't know what they're going to do to you if you find out what the real tea is, but I need you to go ahead and hide and just, be like, Anne Frank in the closet at this point, okay? So they're doing the circle. Now we go back to Lasher. So he's taking her to another memory, right? And she's playing with her friends. And it looks like it's a birthday. And it looks like that young Rowan has found a fox, but she can't save the fox. We don't see Rowan whisper to the fox. We don't see Rowan cast a spell. We just see Rowan and a dead fox, and how Rowan couldn't find this fox. And she's playing with fireflies. Mind you, she's trapped in a whole ass house, and she doesn't know what's going on. Okay, fine. We go back to Sip, and now the little subcontinent lady has thrown her salt around. She's casting spells, and she's like, this is a magical wound. Pause. Was this a magical wound? Carlotta didn't do any magic. She just whole ass stabbed him, right? Was the prayer she said some kind of magic? But at this point, I'm on the bus, right? So why complain about the ride if you're already on the bus? Either get off the bus or shut your mouth and just watch the ride, right? So I'm on the ride. Fine, whatever. Anyway, subcontinent lady comes out. She takes it, binds the wound to her, takes the wound off of her, pulls out the knife, okay? And Sip coughs and whatever. So we go back. So we're back at the house. So then now he's like, Sip is telling her, this is all happening. You could do whatever you want to do. So then she goes back upstairs, and we see the aunt looking for books, looking through things. And she's like, what are you looking for? Now the aunt is phasing in and out. So we don't know whether this is an astral projection, whether or not, the aunt is already dead. We don't know what's happening in Auntie number 2. But she's like, okay. And she really doesn't want to mess with Rowan anyway, because she's like, you're already his. And Rowan's like, girl, I don't have time for you about this. I'm trying to get out this house. So she's like looking in the closet. So Rowan goes to the closet. She's going through the books. She finds a book because I guess Aunt Carlotta, the last time Rowan had done this whole trap you in the house to a loop thing, Carlotta got rid of him with some holy water and some herbs. So Rowan's like, I'm going to go downstairs and get some holy salt water and some herbs. And I'm thinking, well, if he created this loop, he clearly just ain't sitting in the living room not listening to what's going on. He clearly knows what's going on. And he does, because he meets her downstairs. Mind you, she goes downstairs, and then we have this weird interaction where she's downstairs. I'm like, child, is Delphine's body still downstairs? Yes, she is. And here Rowan is doing a whole ass scream as if she is not a trained, certified, licensed, high acting surgeon who has never seen a body, never seen a dead body before. Even if you say she was not expecting to see the dead body, the level of screams and reactions that she gave did not match up with somebody who's supposed to be a high-level trained surgeon. I don't know. I mean, maybe it's me. Like, she saw a dead body her first day in gross anatomy in medical school. She's seen dead bodies in her residency. So that, again, is just like, what are you trying to do? Like, don't try to sell me you're giving me some white feminist female agency power narrative when all she's doing is acting Dixie dumb and annoying, right? But whatever. Sees Delphine's body. She just starts picking herbs. We don't see what herbs they're picking. We don't know what these herbs are doing. We didn't even see the recipe that she's doing. She's just snatching flowers and snatching weeds. He's like, that's not going to work on me or whatever. Mind you, Auntie number 2 decided that she's going to do the remix, a Delphine remix, and lock Rowan downstairs. So now she's locked downstairs and locked in the house. So and then Lash was like, well, if you want to get out, you can get out. And she's like, yes. And then she tries, and then guess what? She doors open. She's like, you made me think we do that. So at this point, I'm like, if Rowan is supposed to be so powerful, we have not seen any manifestation of any of her power that shows that she's in control of this situation. None of her powers are showing, none of the things happening, right? She's like powerless against Lasher. We don't know what Lasher wants. We kind of do know he wants to have sex with her so he can have a body or something like that. But we're like, okay, mind you, we don't know in the flashback episodes, we haven't seen Lasher in any of those, right? He's not even hiding in the back of the flashback, so we could be like, oh, he's been there all the time. He's been doing this. He's just some creepy, ghosty demon that's really putting Rowan through it, and she just is at her emotional end because she doesn't know how to work this whole situation out, which just gives me just like 1980s horror tease when you're just screaming at the screen the whole time, like, girl, run, don't go this way. Like, that's how I felt this entire episode, right? Like, girl, what are you doing? Especially because she has a black mother. Right? Like, you ain't gonna tell me a black mama from New Orleans, this is the product of your hard work? Anywho, so we go along. So now she's upstairs, and now she's like, well, where's Carlotta? Here manifests Carlotta hanging. And he's like, she kept your mother drugged. You should kill her. She's like, well, I'm not going to kill her. I'm not going to do this. Mind you, Sip is back at the house with the sister who's like, okay, you're going to tell me what's going on. So then the sister's like, yes, I work for this, the Talamasca. Oh, okay, I thought it was FBI. I thought it was CIA. You know, she's like, okay, well, you can't tell no one. And he's like, you can't. So then he gets up, gets dressed, gets out, and we get like the worst piece of dialogue literally in this entire episode. What? You're going back to that Mayfair house? It's too dangerous. Now, if you've watched my videos, we've discussed time and time again about the use of subtext, right? So that would have been a perfect opportunity for a little subtext, right? Something along the lines of, you're going back to the Mayfair house, you're not gonna be happy till you're dead. Something like that. But those lines, go back and watch that scene and tell me if that is just, and even if that is what the source material provided you with, you should have done a better job at creating some sort of tension, heightened expectation, or something within that scene to make it be like, why is he going back to the house? Right? And you cannot say because his job is to protect Rowan, right? Because there's a whole crew of Talamasca people that drew a whole circle that could have been like, okay, we will go back to the house, you can stay home. Or no, we don't know. Because he's just back, dressed, new clothes, back to the house. Okay, back to the house. Carlotta is suspended. Lasher's trying to get Rowan to kill Carlotta. She won't kill Carlotta. He says, fine, whatever. Carlotta and her go upstairs, and he's like, oh, this is just like the last time, but I can help you just like I helped him. And he's like, I know there's another way out. So they're upstairs because Carlotta said there's another way out. And we're like, okay, girl, she gonna try to get her to jump off the thing or whatever, jump off the building. But we find out, so a good nugget we find out is Deirdre's mother, Antha, who we saw kill herself in like that first episode when Sip touched the fence or whatever, we found out that it was Carlotta who had something to do with it. Now, did it mean she pushed her? Did it mean she got her to the ledge? Don't really know, because the flashback, we just see her on the ledge and kind of tilting over, but we don't know that. But Carlotta was involved in that process, right? Because Carlotta's objective throughout this entire season has been, we want to stop Lasher from being around here. That's why Deidre was drugged. That's why we didn't tell you who you were. So Carlotta has had the clearest objective of this entire season. Why not focus on his main story be Carlotta this first season and all the things she's done, and then second season introduce Rowan? That would have been a better story, right? And then Carlotta could have told the stories of the Mayfairs and what's happened before and why she did what she did. I mean, again, something but this. Because what Rowan does is she decides to kill Carlotta, right? So Carlotta's now on the ground. Carlotta's now dead. She's used her powers to kill Carlotta. Lasher's now standing in the room like, ha, look what I made you do. You're just as evil as I thought you were. You're now mine. And then Rowan stumbles out the house, and we get this really nice scene of like everything being upside down, I guess to let us know now that things are not what they used to be, right? And she's stumbling out the house, and that's how the episode ends. Okay?
Here's what I found.
So at this point, I was like, okay, right? So then I get it. We see this. The episode ends about clocks at 42 minutes, 5 seconds. And then we get a preview of the next scene of the next episode, which is all the Mayfair witches coming together to combat this witch-burning, witch-hating society, which again, I guess is this fourth storyline that they kind of thrust on us for the remainder of the season. And I'm like, so all your relatives can get together and stop these witch people, and they can't do anything about Lasher that everybody knows about, right? Like, even if there is a contention within the family, right, of pro-Lasher, anti-Lasher, would not the funeral have been the best time to address it, or address why we're not addressing it, right? That would have been the best time, right? Carlotta, you got Uncle Cortland and his daughter, pro-Lasher. Carlotta's anti-Lasher. We don't know where the rest of the family stands. Somebody could have had this line that says, Charlie, we gonna talk about Lasher today? Girl, we don't talk about Lasher today. It's a funeral. Or whatever. One line, and then we would have discussed why the Mayfairs don't talk about Lasher, why Lasher's existing, or whatever, right? So, again, this is just poor storytelling, right? So now we're in, like I said, but now we're in episode 5, right? So I'm not gonna get here every week and complain about a poorly written story or a poorly acted story or a poorly casted story and waste everyone's time like that. We're just gonna go through, see, and then at the end of the season, see whether or not it has surprised us, whether or not it has lived up to our expectations, or how far it has fallen, and then hope for the best next season, right? Because again, I still want this show to do well. I still want this show to show up for next season. And again, nothing, despite its piss poor storytelling, is fatal or terminal to this show, right? This all can be fixed next season. So at this point, we're still in the Mayfair Witches ride. I hope you guys have a really, really great rest of your week, or start of your week at this point. And if you're watching The Real Housewives of New Jersey, my reviews are going to be coming out the day after that episode. So be sure to watch that primer so we can discuss a key about The Real Housewives of New Jersey. It's going to be the only reality show that I think I'm going to do right now. So anyway, have a great week, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.